An analysis by the political data firm Target Smart shows a massive increase in women registering to vote following the Supreme Court ruling on Dobbs. In Kansas, for example, women made up 70% of newly registered voters. 70% following the Dobbs ruling. In Wisconsin, women have out-registered men by more than 15%. In Michigan and Pennsylvania, there are similar gender gaps, with women signing up to vote at a higher rate than their male counterparts. And it makes sense, especially given the disturbing headlines we continue to see day after day in the months after Roe versus Wade was overturned. Headlines like this one: Louisiana hospital denies abortion for fetus without a skull. Or this one: Florida teen may be forced to give birth after court rules she is not mature enough for abortion. Or this: doctors refuse potentially life-saving abortion treatment over legal fears, Indiana doctor says. Those are headlines that we will very likely see more of, given that a new wave of trigger bans restricting access to abortion are slated to go into effect tomorrow in Texas, Tennessee, and Idaho, though we have just learned that the Idaho ban will include a small court-ordered carve-out for women's health emergencies. Joining us now is Mini Tamaraju, president of NARAL Pro-Choice America. Mini, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I just want to talk about those headlines for a second, because I remember after Dobbs was handed down, there was a story of a 10-year-old in Ohio who had been raped, whose mother had to take her across state lines to Indiana to get an abortion. And reproductive rights advocates said, these are the kinds of horror stories we are going to hear again and again and again. And as if like clockwork, we are hearing those horror stories. And yet it hasn't dimmed the rights push to restrict reproductive freedoms at all. Are you surprised at any of this?
I hate to be cynical, but I'm not. And here's why. Reproductive rights advocates, particularly women of color leaders of reproductive justice organizations, have been shouting for decades about the impact on communities like this and these exact stories for so long, because of the drip, drip, drip restrictions, targeted restrictions against abortion providers that made Roe ineffective and unavailable, the promise of Roe, to vast parts of this country, rural parts of America, women of color who couldn't access abortion because of, restrictions on federal funding. We were already in a very dire state for abortion access in this country before Dobbs fell. But of course, I don't want to make the mistake of saying it is not increasingly more horrific. But to answer your question, these legislators, these Republican extremists, they knew these stories because we've been telling these stories for decades. And so, frankly, they are not surprised, but they are pushing through because this is all about power and control, and they are seizing the moment, even though people in their own party, like as we saw in Kansas, are horrified and don't agree with them. So I think it's an overall trend of the drifting extremism of the extreme right, and it's indicative of a lot of challenges in this country.
What are these trigger bans that are slated to go in effect? What do they practically mean for women in those states and in the surrounding areas?
So it's interesting, the breaking news on Idaho, so it's good news. It's a great step. The Department of Justice intervened, and a federal court did say that Idaho's ban could move forward, but with health of the mother restrictions, with the health of the mother exceptions. So that's a step. But the challenge, pragmatically, if you put yourself in the shoes of a person in Idaho who needs access to an abortion, is unless they can prove that they fall in that restriction and they can get a committee of doctors at a hospital, and you're seeing all these stories, to decide to deem that case an exception, a ban is still a ban without exceptions, right? And in Texas and in Tennessee, we already had 6-week bans. So the difference is that was an important window. But it was, frankly, already before most people know they're pregnant.
Yes. And I remember going to Texas and talking to abortion doctors or abortion providers about that 6-week bans, and they said it's effectively outlawing abortion.
Absolutely.
I do, so there's a full ban on abortion in at least 10 states. South Dakota, Wisconsin, I think we have a map of this, Missouri, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Does this mean that women are crossing? I mean, look at that area of that map. I mean, how do you you can't go to a neighboring state anymore. What happens?
That's why Kansas was so important. If you look at that map,
right,
and you look at the fights, some of the electoral and political fights we're having right now on that map, and there's 14 states total with bans of some sort, 10, as you said, with total bans. Look, if you are a person in a state with a ban, even if it's not a total ban, you have to find a doctor, or you either have to have a forced pregnancy first, or you have to find the resources. And thanks to the good work of our friends in the abortion fund community and in the provider community, there's a lot of groups working overtime to get pregnant people from point A to point B. But think about the hurdles you have to go through. You're a mom, I'm a mom. Who's going to take care of your kids?
Right.
How do you take time off? Okay, so suppose you're lucky enough to find a provider in another state. How do you get enough funds to compensate for your time? And then in the process that you're going through this bureaucracy, what if you're running up on other restrictions? What if you're running up on other deadlines where you, even if you're going to a state that doesn't have the same restrictions, they have other bans by weeks. So it's, unless you're going to California or New York, and how hard is it looking at that map to get someone there? We're talking about a draconian nightmare in this country for pregnant people, for women.